It was just after 6 a.m., and the gentle hum of the refrigerator filled the silence of the small kitchen. Outside, the world was still painted in soft gray tones, as dawn struggled to rise over the sleepy neighborhood. Inside the modest little house on Willow Street, a young mother named Emily Carter rubbed her tired eyes, clutching her cup of coffee with trembling fingers. The night had been long. Her twin babies, Liam and Lily, had taken turns crying, as if they'd made a secret agreement to keep their mother awake all night. Emily loved her children more than her own life, but exhaustion had become her closest companion. Since her husband, Daniel, had died in a car accident 6 months earlier, every day felt like walking through fog. The laughter that once filled their home had vanished, replaced by the soft cooing of babies and the occasional sound of Emily's quiet sobs at night when no one could hear. She had lost her partner, her best friend, and her sense of direction all in one terrible night. Yet she had 2 reasons to keep going. 2 small, beautiful reasons with tiny hands and innocent smiles. Liam and Lily were the only light left in her dark world. That morning, as the sun finally began to peek through the curtains, Emily heard a faint noise coming from the hallway. It was a soft rustling, like the sound of something moving against the floor. Her heart skipped. The twins usually slept late after such restless nights. Slowly she put down her coffee and tiptoed toward the sound. As she approached the front door, she noticed something strange. The door was slightly ajar, just enough for a thin beam of golden light to stream through. But what truly caught her attention were 2 small shapes sitting right in front of it. Liam and Lily, barely able to crawl a few weeks ago, were now sitting side by side, blocking the door. Their tiny backs faced her, and their little bodies looked so still, so focused, as if guarding something. Emily froze. Her first instinct was to smile. Maybe they had crawled there to play. But something about the stillness in the air, the way they didn't turn around when she whispered their names, sent a chill down her spine. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the unseen miracles that guide our lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because what happened next changed everything for this grieving mother forever. Taking a deep breath, Emily stepped closer. The wooden floor creaked softly under her feet. When she reached the twins, she noticed their tiny hands were pressed against the bottom of the door, as if they were trying to keep it closed. "Psst. Liam, sweetheart," she whispered. "Lily?" No response, just the soft sound of their breathing. Emily's pulse quickened. She slowly reached down to pick them up, but as soon as her fingers touched their arms, both babies let out a small whimper and looked up at her with wide, frightened eyes. And then, someone knocked. It wasn't loud, just 3 gentle taps. But in that silence, it was enough to make Emily's heart stop. She froze in place, clutching the twins tightly. No one ever came to their house this early. No one even visited anymore. She hesitated, then gathered her courage and slowly turned the doorknob. As the door opened, a gust of cold air rushed in, carrying with it a faint scent, something familiar, something that made her chest tighten. She blinked against the morning light and gasped. Standing on the porch was an elderly man, drenched in the pale dawn light. His clothes were worn and dusty, and he held a small suitcase. But what shocked Emily most were his eyes. Gentle, tearful eyes that looked exactly like her late husband's. For a moment she couldn't breathe. The man took a shaky breath and spoke softly. "You're Emily Carter, aren't you?" Her voice trembled. "Yes. Who are you?" He lowered his head. "I'm your husband's father." Emily's heart nearly stopped. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Daniel never spoke about his parents. He said they were gone. He said he had no family left." The man nodded, tears welling in his eyes. "And he thought we were gone. But we weren't. We lost contact years ago, and by the time we found him, it was too late." His voice cracked. "And I didn't know he'd passed away until I read his name in the newspaper 2 weeks ago." Emily stood there, clutching her twins, her mind spinning. She didn't know what to say. For years, Daniel had carried pain he never spoke of. A broken family, a childhood filled with distance and silence. And now, standing on her porch, was the father he'd never forgiven, the man she never knew existed. She didn't know whether to invite him in or shut the door and protect her heart from reopening old wounds. But then, she felt a small tug on her sleeve. Lily reached out a tiny hand toward the man and smiled. That simple gesture shattered Emily's hesitation. She opened the door wider. "Come in," she said, softly. Inside, the man sat at the kitchen table, his hands trembling as he held an old photograph of Daniel. "Anishi was just like his mother," he said quietly. "Strong, stubborn, full of love, but afraid to show it." Emily listened as he spoke, stories she'd never heard, moments of Daniel's childhood that felt like pieces of a puzzle she'd never been able to finish. For the first time in months, the silence in her home felt warm again. The man's voice carried sorrow, but also healing. Still, something nagged at her. "Why now?" she asked. "Why did you come today?" The old man's eyes filled with tears. "I had a dream last night," he said. Daniel was standing in a field, holding 2 little babies. He looked at me and said, "Go to them, Dad. They need you. She needs you." When I woke up, I packed my things and started driving. I didn't even know if I'd find you. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. The twins had never sat by that door before. They had never tried to block it. It was as if they had felt something, someone, coming. Days turned into weeks. The old man, whose name was Henry, began visiting every morning. He fixed things around the house, helped with the babies, and told stories that made Emily laugh again. The twins adored him, often crawling into his lap as he hummed lullabies that Daniel once loved. Slowly, the walls around Emily's heart began to crumble, but healing was not easy. Some nights, she still woke up crying, clutching Daniel's old sweater. She still felt the weight of loneliness pressing against her chest. Henry would quietly sit beside her, not saying a word, just holding her hand. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Emily stood by the door, the same door where her twins had once sat that fateful morning. She watched them play with Henry in the garden, laughter echoing across the yard. For the first time in so long she felt peace. She whispered, "Thank you, Daniel," under her breath, believing somehow he could hear her. Weeks later, on a quiet Sunday, Emily found something in Henry's suitcase, a small box wrapped in a faded ribbon. Inside was a letter, written in Daniel's handwriting. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it. "If you're reading this, it means I couldn't say goodbye. Dad, if you ever find this, I forgive you. And Emily, please let him in. He was a good man who made mistakes, but he loved me once. Don't let my pride keep you both apart. Take care of our babies. Tell them their father loved them more than life." Tears blurred her vision. She pressed the letter to her heart, sobbing silently. In that moment, she realized the twins hadn't just been blocking the door that morning. They had been protecting her from closing the door to a miracle she didn't know she needed. From that day on, Henry became a part of their small family. He read stories to the twins at bedtime, built a tiny swing in the backyard, and made pancakes every Sunday morning. The house that had once been filled with silence now overflowed with laughter, love, and the sound of life returning. Emily often thought back to that morning, the sight of her twins sitting by the door, the fear that turned into hope, and the stranger who became family. Life had given her a second chance, not to replace the love she lost, but to remind her that love never truly dies. It simply changes shape. Months later, on the anniversary of Daniel's death, Emily stood with Henry and the twins at the edge of a hill overlooking the town. The wind was soft, carrying the scent of wildflowers. She released a white balloon into the sky, whispering, "We're okay now." As the balloon rose higher, she felt a warmth spread through her chest, like invisible arms wrapping around her. She smiled through tears. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more real, emotional stories to life and remind the world that kindness and love still exist. Before the ending, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. What would you have done if you were in Emily's place? Would you have opened that door? That morning changed Emily's life forever. Her twins, too young to understand, had unknowingly led her to the miracle that would heal her broken heart. And though she would never stop missing Daniel, she finally understood what he meant when he once said, "And love doesn't end with goodbye, it just finds a new way home." The door that once stood between pain and healing had opened, and on the other side was the beginning of a new kind of love,